Okay, confirm and go live. Here we go.
All right.
All
Hell
right.
yeah.
Hey, everybody. We are here Sunday night with Everybody's a Mimic. I am your host and Dungeon Master, Corey, who plays the Dungeon Master. It's no fun whenever I don't get a one-liner to say after my character. And I am here with Betty the Yeti, Mr. Carson Tussey. How are you doing there?
Hello.
Yeah.
I am doing quite well. Quite well.
Yeah, I heard you had a fun day at the beach. We're going to share your
I
personal information
did.
with everybody. Just so everyone out there, Carson is not at his home now. If you wanted to have robbed him, like, this weekend. Kind of missed the chance.
Yeah, no. Yeah, no. Sucks to suck. You should have been more on your toes.
Yeah, if only you guys followed and stalked us. I thought we were internet famous enough already after 2 sessions, but it doesn't seem like it, so gotta try harder.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I don't even know how many followers I have. It's less than 100. I don't know. I'm about as far from internet famous as you. By God, did I try in high school? In high school, I was like, you know what? It's gonna happen. I'm gonna bring the energy and the confidence. I'm gonna get a YouTube channel going. It's like 3 really shitty videos, and that's it.
Yeah,
That's
there's a
it.
video
That's
out
all I
there,
got.
everyone, of him singing along at a concert, not a conference, at a concert.
Hey,
It's great.
that concert was kick ass.
Great singing voice though, too. He really followed along with the words.
Yeah, it was great.
So, let's get ourselves back on topic here. We are here with a one-on-one session. This will be our first one-on-one session with a variety of our characters here of the Everybody's a Mimic team. And Carson, before we get into who is Betty the Yeti, and his extremely long name that I, as a dungeon master, should know how to pronounce, but I do not know how to pronounce his last name. Let's talk about who are you? Like, tell us a little bit about yourself, Carson.
I got nothing. No, I am. So I am 26. I am a environmental inspector in Temple, Texas. So I mostly drive around construction sites looking at dirt and telling people if their dirt is where it is supposed to be. That is the that is the general explanation of my job, and I like it. The observational aspect caters to my intense ADHD. Um, I have a crap ton of hobbies. Most of them I've kind of backburnered in favor of trying to keep going at multiple D&D campaigns after I moved out of the cities where they were, which COVID actually kind of helped with that.
Oh yeah,
The like one positive from COVID,
the
which
the
feels bad to say, but
I know, but the resurgence of online D&D it's been great. I mean, I've been playing online D&D for ever really the whole time. I've tried in person, but where I am, there's really just not any gaming store groups, and then I just don't know people in my area to warrant going into their house. And I definitely will not do that for a brand new campaign because I am just really afraid of getting murdered. Uh,
yeah.
and but yeah, I mean, seeing
Mhm.
so many more people switch to Roll20, switch to VTT, Foundry, all the sources you have out there, even Tabletop Simulator. I've seen a lot of people play D&D on. It's been great.
Yep.
It's been exciting. So back to what you were saying.
Yeah, so I think currently I've got 4 campaigns going. I've been playing D&D since my junior year in college, so about 6 years, and pretty pretty thoroughly fell in love with it. I've probably come up with what's probably over 100 characters and like made full character sheets and then just completely never remotely attempted to play them because every time a new campaign comes up, it's like, ooh, I've got a new idea that I'm really excited about.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like right now, uh, the most recent character that I've just built out of nowhere and like put together a full, like colorized colorized Hero Forge 4 is a Durgar Rune Knight. So
Very
he's a
fitting.
Rune Knight.
Right.
Yeah, so bonus action they get to turn large as the Rune Knight thing.
Mm-hmm.
But then if you cast the enlarge spell, it doesn't say it doesn't sack with enlarge, so you would be huge.
Right. And then don't
Like
Durigar,
minimal mechanical.
don't Durigar also have
Minimal
their
mechanical.
don't they have their own?
Sorry. Yeah, no, they have their own enlarge spell that they can cast, which you can't stack enlarge spells apparently.
Right.
But it's not the enlarge spell.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the main like benefit to that, because it would be just like an extra D6 and a D4 per attack, which is like, yeah, cool. But the main like thing you could use it for flavor would be intimidating the shit out of things. Do you need my phone? It's right there. And is like becoming huge so you can intimidate people. Or I did the math. If you so I rolled randomly for their weight.
Yeah.
And I did the math, and it came out. First off, they rolled up a gigantically huge, heavy at least, dwarf. It was like about as heavy as a dwarf could be.
Yeah.
It's 262 pounds naturally, so
And they're
so
short
that times
anyways.
60.
So
Oh yeah, no, he's 5'9".
as a dwarf?
Or 4'9".
Okay.
4'9".
Okay.
And so he comes out to 16,768 pounds.
Okay. What?
Yeah, because when you double in size, it's your weight times 8. Because of fucking cube laws.
Oh.
Which is crazy, because that's actually how shit would work if you became twice as tall.
Right, because you double
Which
and then you
blows my
double
mind.
again. So it's not just like times 4, it's times 2 and then times 2, which would be that's crazy.
Yeah.
16,000?
So it would be like, you want to break a bridge? Just stand on it.
Yeah. I hope you don't use that character in any kind of like seaworthy campaigns. Just like, don't worry, guys, I got this.
See, here's the thing: if he gets a ring of water walking, all he has to do is run over to other ships, stand on the side, disrupt their ballast, and cause them to roll.
Could he just like stand inside with water walking and he just like crush until he hits the water and he's like, all right, I'm good.
Possibly.
Yeah. Okay, so I gotta make sure I do not ever let you get near any Ring of Water Walkings, nor a Rune Knight Durigar. Yeah. So, all right. So D&D for 6 years, lots of campaigns. Another one of my campaigns as well. Besides Everybody's a Mimic.
Yes.
So what? Let's talk about Let's talk about bidding. Let's talk about Bitte.
Bitte yetimated thunla kalaga.
I'm gonna try it. Okay, we got Bitte yetimated thunla kalaga.
Yes.
Yes. Hey. Yes. Look at that.
Well done.
Golf clap. Golf clap. All right. So, I want to talk about one where you came up with the Bitte, the name, and 2, Yetimated.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Let's start with your inspiration for Bitte. Let's start a step back. Let's start with what is Bitte. So this might be the first time people are listening to our stream. Who is Betty the Yeti?
All right. So Betty the Yeti is a 31 or 32-year-old. I'm excited about it too, Alfie. That's my dog, Alfie. He was dead ass asleep up until, and I just got a text asking for help, so I will be right back.
Okay, all right. Well, while we are waiting, I want to show off. I'm gonna. Oh, okay. He's muted himself real quick. So while we're waiting, I'm going to show off something that I just got. And it is a Mimic Dice Tower. I got this from we are dinosaurs. They are dinosaurs. Oh, let me check. The guy is a licensed, let's say reseller, seller and printer for the design. And I have it right here. He has a lovely website where he prints a lot of stuff, and some of the colors he can make like metallics, all this crazy stuff. And I've just loved the one item I got from him, planning on getting a lot more. So when dinosaursattack.com, it has a little velociraptor that's green and blue. He printed this off. He was selling a busted one not a busted, a slightly misprint one on one of the Facebook groups. And I contacted him, and I wanted purple because, as you might tell, we have a lot of purple themes in our colors. And I was like, oh, could you print it in purple? He's like, yeah, no problem. 2 days, it's printed. It's already in the mail. I get it within another 3 days. And I'm already so excited to see how this thing... this thing rolls great. I said on our Discord, our WordPress post, that I would show you guys what it sounds like when you roll 8d6. Not that I have any fireballs on me right now, but I'm going to use tiny little d6 here. Put this right up to my microphone. Hope you guys can hear it. Such a good sound. Even most people who play D&D have a large amount of dice, but then when you're playing it with online, there's not as much of a need to use the dice. So I am really just, doing this for my own pleasure. But with podcasts, with webcasts and stuff, you really love to. You're here for the sounds. You're here to get kind of immerse yourself in the situation, and I think it's gonna be fun to use physical dice. I've already, I trust all my players. I allow them if they want to use physical dice to use physical dice, no problem at all. And I think it's gonna be really nice when you guys start hearing that lovely sound on stream as those dice get rolled, and they get to wait in anticipation for the for the event, for whatever I get to roll, whatever I get. So yeah, that was When Dinosaurs Attacks Everybody, or Mimic Dice Tower. Kind of goes right in here. Inside the Mimic Dice Tower, you have some dice, really good quality. It has the typical print lines because it is print with PLA, but it's very smooth. And really, if you were to coat this with a kind of a matte coating, Mod Podge, or some kind of you might spray, or even if you were to sand it down, I think you'd have no problem at getting it really smooth. I know there's some other ways you can give it like an acetone bath. I love the purple color. I'm tempted to paint it, but I'm also afraid that I would end up messing up the quality of it, or if I don't like the way I painted, then I try to get it back out and I'm never going to get back to that perfect purple. So I'll probably just use it a little bit and then eventually paint it anyways, because I'll get bored and want to paint it and try to paint it very similar to the colors of our Mimic that we have there, even though it's a chest, but you'll see the Mimic around. So yeah, this is Everybody's a Mimic, guys. We are live. My buddy Carson, who plays Betty the Yeti, has gone off to help his wife, who sent out an SOS signal. So you are just sitting here chatting with me, and he's back. Look at that. The stream is definitely not sponsored by Dr. Pepper, but if anybody works for Dr. Pepper and wants to sponsor our stream with Dr. Pepper, I would absolutely love that.
The cacophony from my house is brought to you by Modelo. It is not. Modelo, please don't sue us. We're way too small. Yeah. We're way too small a fish to take on that big of a fisherman.
All right. So, getting back to where we were.
Yes, sorry about that.
I think, I had a great opportunity to do a shout out for I I know I showed it to you on Discord, but the McDice Tower. It is amazing.
You didn't make that yourself, did you?
Oh, no. I don't have a 3D printer. I bought it.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I just...
I was about to be like, dear God.
I used one of those...
No, that thing's awesome.
I used one of those, like, 3D doodler pens to build it. Just very slowly. No, all right.
Beautiful.
Back to who is Betty the Yeti?
Yes. To pick my tooth. So Betty is a 31, 32-year-old Goliath. I always want to say Colossus. Goliath ranger who is born to Clan Thunla Kalaga of Wormdoom Crag. Mm-hmm. I'm astounded I remembered that. I've tried to remember it like a few times in the last couple of weeks. Total blank.
Were both of your parents alive? Because you know the trope of dungeon masters going after family members, and you chose to put your family, like, there's already quests in Icewind Dale to go visit them. So it's like, we're going to be going home, and does Betty have a family who might, I don't know,
so
walk
Betty
under
has...
some icicles that happen to break, or...
You would not.
No.
How dare you?
Betty's
Come for my family.
Betty's mom walks out. Hey guys, shink.
Yeah. So Betty has 2 moms and a dad, and the dad died in an epic goat ball win. He kind of like. I think the goat balls are supposed to be like medicine balls, but heavier. And so my guess is he just like took a header and like won the game, but broke his neck.
Right.
That's my headcanon, which I created this, so it's the canon.
Yeah.
But his 2 mothers, which he has, all his siblings are from the same father. But he has the 2 mothers. It's not a harem thing. The mothers are partners, and like the dad just kind of helped out with the one that he wasn't together with.
Right.
Because feminism.
Yeah.
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 It's also just funner. It's funner that way.
It is.
And so
you can't just have boring old mom and dad, and they raised me and my 2 brothers. And then I went off adventuring, and they they had some terrible accident that caused them all to die in a horrible fire that I came back to.
Exactly. Yeah, he's also got like 7 siblings, which in your head you're like, ooh, more family members to kill. But in my head, it's, ooh, more names to force him to remember that I can ask questions about, and you have to make up on the spot what they're doing that day.
I've already,
which is probably the surest way to kill all of them.
The first time you're like, I have 7 siblings, and in my mind I'm just like, oh, okay, so your siblings are a gang. They're the... Oh, what was that one movie? What's the one movie that Adam Sandler made with all the 7 siblings? 6?
Adam Sandler with all the 6?
It was a playoff of Hateful Eight.
Oh, Ridiculous 6?
Yeah, there you go.
That piece of pure garbage.
Yes.
Oh,
just
man.
so you know, that piece of pure garbage is now your sibling story.
No.
Yep. They are going to come and find you and say, hey, somebody murdered Pa. And you're going to have to go and avenge the death of the guy who threw that goat ball at his head. And everyone else in the party...
It turns out there was foul play.
Yes.
Jesus.
Political intrigue in the goat ball arena. I'm telling you, it's happened. This is on stream. I cannot not do this now. Like, it has to. I'm sorry, Carson. I hope your life is ready to be a joke.
Damn you.
Everything else about your character may be serious, but not that part.
Everything else about my character is not serious.
All right. So from Wormdoom Crag,
the other family he has. The other family he has. Should I tell this bit, or should I stay a secret?
It's your secret, so it should stay a secret. But we're gonna say
Oh, okay.
that counts as part of your spoiler that you have another family already. And I mean,
Okay, boom.
yeah, yeah, because I know what some of our players may be here. But what I should ask because I just refreshed my memory for a second. Was it in your player or party approved backstory?
Ooh, it was not. Haha, if they
Uh,
are watching, which if anyone's watching, it's probably them.
we only watch ourselves.
Joke's on you. You don't get the answer.
Yeah.
Um,
But now they're gonna like next session be like, "Hey, I just had this random metagame thought, and what is your family?"
I'll never tell.
All
Yeah,
right.
no, this will be great. That'll be a great reveal. I'm excited for that.
Oh yes, yeah, that's gonna come up not pretty soon. That might be one of the later reveals, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Just gonna see how it
Yes, yeah.
flows. Yeah. All right. So you grew up in Warrenwood Crag. A lot of your backstory does revolve around your secret, so we're gonna have to just we're gonna take a step away from that. Let's talk about Bitte's accent.
His accent was tough as hell to come up with. So it's like Swedish but shittier. So it's kind of I put it together completely organically, but then it kind of after I got it together, it's like, oh, that's kind of just like a worse version of Floki from Vikings. It's like I'm like, okay, so it's kind of like this, and it's sort of breathy and quiet. And it's really hard to get into because that's not even quite it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Um,
And to think that you have to say that, and it's not like you're talking in your accent the whole time because you still talk to the players in your regular voice, and then to
mhm.
have to get into an accent whenever you're like, "Hey, Bete, what do you think?" Okay, it adds to like it adds to kind of the intrigue of your character too, being so large and so soft spoken, and I mean being your character's huge. Like you've always mentioned, I'm stooping down and inside doorways. I'm having to
Yeah.
hulk down. We were in. This hasn't been streamed yet, or it hasn't been released yet. But our first ever session that we did, and it was before we had Ben on part of the team. We went. They went to a rock gnome kingdom. I mean, rock gnomes are one of the shorter characters in D&D, and Betty the Yeti is like he's having to almost like four-man crawl, but pretty much just like hunching down the whole time as you're going through. And then you have doorways. Oh, it was a class. It was a little hit there. So yeah. I
Oh
mean,
yeah. Yeah. No.
so Floki from the Vikings. That was your.
Yeah. Kind of. Yeah. So I wanted it to be kind of Swedish. I wanted to be kind of Swedish and kind of haunting. So Floki from Vikings is kind of where it ended up, but it kind of started with the guy who played. It was a little bit just like, okay, he's from way up north. What kind of makes sense geographically for accents that match that? Okay, something Scandinavian. I've always been kind of obsessed with the guy who plays the Swede in Hell on Wheels.
Mm-hmm.
He's in a bunch of other stuff. He pretty much always just plays like a tall, kind of creepy guy with like a weird, quiet voice. Um, and so it was a little bit of that, and I watched a bunch of like Swedish YouTubers just to kind of work on their voice, the musicality, where they do their inflections. That seemed a little more stereotypical Amish. I don't mean to offend any of the Amish people listening to our Twitch, uh, but
Because there probably are only viewers.
yeah, it's just the Amish. They're on the pulse.
Just the
They're on the pulse of everything.
they
Just the rebellious Amish youth.
I really gotta wonder. Like I understand D&D was associated a lot with Satanism, and oh, it's bad.
Mhm.
But how did the Amish view it? Because I mean, when you really think about it, in its core, it's a paper and pencil game that doesn't seem technological. I don't know anything, and I'm probably being really insensitive here, but I just gotta wonder. I assumed like they can play RPGs like that, or is that just like we don't imagine?
Yeah, I mean, it's very interesting because I'm pretty sure there is a lot more overlap into Amish daily life of technological stuff. Like
Oh yeah,
they go to the store, they go to the store, they put the reflective triangles on the back of their buggies.
mm-hmm.
You know,
Right. They're
they
aware of
do a bunch of
technology.
totally normal
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
I feel like it's more like, yeah, when we're out in the world, you know, we use what we need to, and
Mm-hmm.
then when we come home,
Mm-hmm.
home is just like stripping the necessity of technology from their daily lives. Maybe, I mean, I'm
Yeah,
speaking completely out of ignorance, but
yeah. Yeah. I'm just saying yes to agree with you, not saying that yes, you're totally ignorant.
yeah,
Yeah. Anyways.
I mean, you would not be wrong.
uh,
But yeah, no, that would actually be very interesting. The it seems like it would be a weird sociology thesis that a D&D nerd would come up with.
yeah.
With
Now I gotta wonder. Like,
yeah,
go and search thesis papers to see if anybody has done research on, and I guess not just like Dungeons and Dragons, but even just like fiction as a whole. Like fantasy fiction as a whole. Like
yeah,
yeah, like do they? I mean, are they big fans of Lord of the Rings? Are they big fans of Game of Thrones? Probably not.
yeah,
Because I can't.
yeah. That would
finish a
be
book,
super
but
fascinating.
yeah, it'd be interesting to see that. So yeah, excellent thought.
Yeah.
We're totally.
I feel like the Amish would be even more frustrated with Game of Thrones because you know they must just tear through books.
Yeah, they've probably been waiting like years, not knowing that or not really appreciate. I don't want to talk anymore about that. I really feel like I'm shooting myself. I'm just like Anyways, but yes, I totally agree. I really feel
Years
like
from now, this is what after we get big, this is what will be canceled over. This is our weird Amish rant in our first one-on-one.
Yeah, we're gonna have to delete all record of this. Let's go back to it. Let's get back to it. So let's talk. We just got to level 2 this past session, and
Yes.
nobody really got to do anything with it because we still haven't had a fight at all.
Also, yes.
And but where do you see what books did you use when you were building Bitte, and where do you see him kind of going throughout the campaign? Like, what is your envision for the final goal, or even just like the midway goal? As we kind of step further and further into the story of Icewind Dale.
Yeah. So with Beta, since I build so many characters and I play so much, and I'm a little bit of a power gamer by nature, I make a bunch of things, but I also really like to challenge myself and come up with cool, unique ideas. And there's a lot of historical stuff, just general historical and medieval, that is really fascinating to me, and I like to try and incorporate into different things. And so one thing I've always really thought was like kind of weird was how weak javelins are
In D&D?
and yes, in D&D, where when you look at historical javelins, and specifically historical darts, because if you put feathers on the end of a javelin, on the other end of a javelin, it becomes a dart. That's literally all it requires.
Yeah.
Like, I watched a few videos about war darts and what cultures use them and all kinds of stuff. And like the actual ones, like if you look at like the like Irish mercenaries, because it was big with Irish mercenaries apparently.
Huh.
Apparently they're like these big, like spade shaped, like an ace of spades, shaped steel broadhead.
Yeah.
It's like this wide, like 3 inches wide.
On the end of the javelin, not the dart, right?
The javelin and the dart are kind of the same thing.
Okay. Oh, okay. Yes. Gotcha.
Yeah. So there's like Roman pilum, which don't have feathers and are heavy and are just kind of pointy
Right.
iron ends on a stick,
Mm-hmm.
which is kind of what most people think of with a javelin, because that's what they use in a javelin throw. But there's also like war javelins and war darts,
Right. Okay.
which are typically a broadhead,
Mm-hmm.
because the Roman pilum were meant for mostly disabling shields as your enemy ran toward the
Mm-hmm.
line. So they were to penetrate and then bend, so they'd have to drop the shield
Right.
and advance on a bunch of swords and spears. But then javelins were these big broadheads that were just meant to just destroy flesh,
Right. Yeah.
which is a terrifying statement.
Yeah, I know.
So they just, you'd throw them at primarily less armored foot soldiers, and they would just do a shit ton of damage.
Mm-hmm.
And they were really popular. They kind of got phased out in most forums except for like naval battles, because it's really easy to throw javelins down on people.
Right. Yeah.
Who'd have thought? So I was like, that is a super cool and badass and pretty fucking brutal weapon
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't get like any love in D&D.
Yeah.
How can I make that viable? Because thrown weapon fighting is kind of,
Well,
it's cool.
it's funny, and I'm kind of getting a little bit ahead of it, because I remember whenever we were talking about your character in the beginning, and it was before Tasha's had came out, where Tasha's came out with thrown weapon fighting as a fighting style, and we were like, how can we make thrown weapons work on a ranger? Because the way it works, if you play it rules as written, you can only throw one weapon a turn. You know, you have to have, like, because you throw and then you use your action to draw, and that's it. Like, that was the end of your attack. Your attack action doesn't get to draw. You know, you don't get, so basically when you did extra attack, you'd have to have throw your javelin, and then you can either have a sword already in the other hand, or if you really play rules as written, you have to use your action to unsheath the sword, which you couldn't do in the same the same time as attacking somebody. So go on, yeah. So we ended up working a way out that it works, but
yeah. So we ended up just kind of hand waving the object interaction, drawing ammunition type, and treating it as ammunition.
Mm-hmm.
For thrown weapons instead of being stingy about it.
Yeah. Because it's all so much more fun to just have fun than to. And I there are people who are out there and they really enjoy not that, like, how I guess the reality of playing D&D is rules as written, because in battle, in those 6 seconds, if you swing your sword, you're not going to be immediately able to just draw another weapon and then attack with it. When you look at the time frame of D&D action or in combat turn, but you're heroes, and shit, I'm fairly certain there are a lot of movies where the hero is just wasting a bunch of people and just keep picking up weapons and just killing everybody as he walks through the horde of zombies or goblins or whatever they choose to use as cannon fodder. So.
Absolutely. So yeah, I really like the idea of that, and so the kind of like eventual, I think, 4th level is when kind of his build comes online. So I wanted to make a thrown weapon fighter that was decent, and once I kind of settled on ranger, because rangers are just the best for ranged type builds, I was like, okay, I also want to make a ranger that is harder to shit on, the way people like to crap on rangers. So he's going to be, so the kind of thing I envisioned for him, which also, fun fact, he was supposed to be a turtle. He was originally going to be a turtle who just pretended to be a rock in the snow for most of his career, and that's how he survived. But yeah, so the eventual build is going to be him with his shield, which I haven't really gotten to describe, I don't think, but his shield, he like pours water on it so that it forms ice over it, so he can like better blend in with the ice and snow.
Mm-hmm.
Just as a fun little detail.
Mm-hmm.
But But yeah, so it's gonna be him with a shield in one arm and big quiver of war darts on his back. So he will use the actual D4 darts instead of javelins.
Okay.
And he's gonna have sharpshooter. That's his 4th level, which you are going to hate because you despise Great Weapon Master in the other campaign.
I do. And it's not so much that the mechanics of Great Weapon Master I despise. It's the fact that ever since you started using Great Weapon Master, you don't roll bad. It's like you roll better. You roll better with Great Weapon Master than you do with your regular roll, and you get a plus 10 damage. Plus, it's the -5 and plus 10. It doesn't. It's like for most people, that's a big drawback. You know, you're looking at I think we're on 7 or 8, and you only have a +3 to hit. That's fairly low for that high of a level. But you just roll great no matter what, and it is lovely because you can just shit on enemies real quick.
Yeah, it's kind of madness. I'm sure there will be a session that comes up that will be real rough because you'll balance it for the Great Weapon Master wrecking stuff, and it won't. You'll just be like, "Oh no, you're captured. You're all captured. Not a TPK. You're just captured. By lava monsters. You're captured. Damn it." And then you'll have to on the fly come up with some kind of like weird magma sorcerer.
It's like,
give them.
Oh shit, we're going to the elemental plane of the Eberron's plane of elements, which is all I know is that it has all 4. It's the churning chaos is what it's called. I don't know the exact name of it for the lava monsters, but yeah, there you go. You're going to the churning chaos because the lava monsters are going to put you into a gladiatorial ring for their own enjoyment. There we go. There, I came up with it.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna stick with it. And next time you see lava monsters, you can be like, shit.
Oh yeah,
here it comes.
Definitely. Definitely the old fire newt.
So let's talk about how bitte. It's like a beta. Okay, so it's like a B.
Real quick.
Yes.
Yeah, real quick before we move on. I didn't finish the vision.
Oh, sorry.
So got sharpshooter.
You only got to level 4, and I was like, all right, that's it.
Yeah.
You're done.
Yeah, so he's going to be just running around with a shield and war darts, and kind of like there's a little bit of extra mobility with Horizon Walker. He's a Horizon Walker.
Mm-hmm. What book is that from again?
That is from Xanathar's. Yeah. Yeah, so he's so PHB for Ranger, Horizon Walker from Xanathar's, and then I'm using the revised Ranger, UA, and then 1 or 2 optional rules from Tasha's.
Yep. Because they gave really good optional rules for the Rangers in Tasha's.
They did.
They really did.
Yeah. Yeah, so he's going to be kind of like running around, and flavor-wise with the sharpshooter, my idea is like he's done some really cool things, more so than a level 1 or level 2 character would in their backstory. So the way he does that is just kind of being smart, and he aims for some pretty smart things. So you know, an owlbear comes up, he's not gonna stand and try and go toe to toe with the owlbear. He's gonna like run around its flank and throw a big ass, 3-inch thin javelin broadhead through its ankle or through the back of its knee. Yeah, no, brutal stuff.
I'm just having like the fear of like myself in that owlbear shoes, just being like, oh fuck, I have a javelin through my knee. This is an owlbear, so it's like, but you're using weapons that are, I mean, they're 3-inch javelin is pretty much just going to destroy a human's knee, but would very significantly cripple, the owlbear. So yeah, I mean,
Yeah, so that's like kind of what just makes sense. Like, oh, sharpshooter, you're aiming for more delicate areas to do more damage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
I just dig it.
Right.
But yeah, and that's kind of just where the vision ends. Like, that's pretty much his main build through all the levels. And then I think when he gets really high up, it also, like, one of his attacks, the first one that hits, it turns into force and does extra damage.
Mm-hmm. That's your Horizon
so it'll
Walker.
be like so it'll be like he throws and it like becomes like a bolt and it goes straight through and it's really cool. And then when it gets further on, there's the Horizon Walker thing where you can teleport through 10 feet up to 3 times as long as you're an attack an extra time, as long as you're aiming for different things. So it'll be him like throwing a dart, like teleporting 10 feet in the air, throwing the dart, and then teleporting 10 feet over, throwing the dart at someone else, and teleporting again and throwing the dart at someone else, and then landing. And it'll be fucking cool.
Oh god, yeah, we're gonna have to find.
Really jazz.
I really feel like that's been done in some anime, and so we're gonna have to find some video of that so we can help visualize it. We'll have to do that. Well,
oh, I'm sure.
That's homework for you right now, Carson. Please find a vision of what you just described so we can put it on our website. That would be like, this is what Bitty's going to do whenever he reaches the end goal, which is...
It'll probably be one of the archers from the Fate series.
Just about that, I was like, yeah. In my mind, I was also thinking, well, what it could be Nightcrawler from the X-Men. I mean, if you had done a melee build, that's essentially what you would be doing, is just... pop over here, stab you in the back. Pop over here, stab you in the back. Pop over here, stab you in the back, and then pop over here, and then I throw my dagger at the very end. Yeah. Yeah. Damn. Oh, I'm excited. I'm very excited.
Me too.
Okay, so let's get to where we're going next. How does Beta feel about the other characters? We have Del Nadre, we have Rosemary, which... if anybody has read or has taken the time to read through our backstories online, I believe there's a little segment on there about how Bita and Bita, God, how Betty and Rosemary. I was going to switch to Betty the Yeti now. How Betty and Rosemary kind of met early on, and last but not least, Levi, our brand new character, coming into the group early on in our stream publicly, but a little bit later in the parties and Betty's kind of character. We have Nomen Guard. We had that very first travel to trip where you were in town, and then you got to meet Levi. So let's just go down the list alphabetically: Dale, Levi, Rosemary. So we can talk about your backstory at the very end, and then yeah.
Yes, so Dell first met Levi on the Nomen Guard trip.
Wait, you just said Dell first met Levi. Yes.
Oh, Dell first met Levi? Is that what I said?
Yes.
Ah, shucks. Duka first met Dell on that first Nomen Guard trip, and right off the bat was just kind of impressed with his resourcefulness and just willingness to kind of like do little things that Betty wouldn't have thought of.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's a rogue. He's more nimble and just kind of like a little more squirrely in his movements. Whereas Betty is like, well, I'm going to go do this now.
Yeah.
It's just like I'm either going to completely avoid you or do something brutal right to your face. And Dell's like, well, what about something like this?
Yes.
It's just like, oh, that is one way to do it.
Yeah, he has more of like that city vibe, whereas Betty has the adventuring, like life and death. You're out there in the elements kind of vibe. You're just like, you either go big or you go home, and Dell's like, you don't have to go big. You can just do I wouldn't say minimal effort, but a more subtle effort when it comes to it.
Yeah. Yeah, Betty's a hermit, so his experiences either is mostly either go unseen or make it very apparent very quickly that you're not to be trifled with.
Yeah.
Which is why Betty goes around dressed as a Yeti. He wears rough, white furred skins all over himself, and he has the top skull of an actual Yeti
Mm-hmm.
with an actual Yeti's horns that he wears as his hood. And Betty is the height, and he's not the weight of a Yeti. I think Yetis are beefier.
Right.
But he's the actual height of a Yeti, and with the bulk of his furs, looks very similar to one, which is another explanation of why he hasn't been killed by orcs and goblins raiding caravans and stuff, because orcs and goblins are just like, oh, Yetis, they terrify us, and they immediately light torches and stuff. And so Betty's like, okay, I need to avoid that and that. He just keeps on trucking.
Right. Just walking through the snow.
So he's very go unseen or make it very apparent that you don't want to see him.
Yeah.
He appreciates that in Dell.
So talking more about Dell, because Dell's been kind of the star of the show this last episode, being this, the spotlight as Speaker of Goodmead candidate. And this will be a very common theme with all the one-on-ones is, why did Betty not 100% support Dell in the very beginning? Because you guys all the first thing was like, we're gonna choose Belle, and you're like, are you sure? I mean, okay, but are you sure? Like you were with him. The whole party was with Dell, but the first thing was like, are you sure that's your best choice? Yeah, I mean, if that's your choice, then okay, let's go with it.
Yeah. Well, I think that Dell has. I assume this isn't. I don't think this is meta knowledge that Dell's a little bit of a drunk, and that kind of shows just a teeny bit.
It's come off that way. He does. I'd say he drinks. He's. It's hard to say. Yeah, he's not like raging alcoholic,
Yeah.
But he is somebody who really does enjoy drinking, from what the characters have seen.
Yes.
And yeah, I mean, yeah. So, but at the same time,
yeah. I mean that's not the crux of it, but he's just kind of a.
I do want to point out
he's just kind of squirrely.
We did have a retcon session because we had some recording issues where we went to, and it's a little bit of spoilers for people who are not playing Icewind Dale, but sorry, you're listening to an actual play podcast of Icewind Dale, so we are spoilers. But Kerr Koenig's speaker is a drunk. What? Like a pure drunk. Like you find him in the snow, waking up, and he's just like, "Oh shit! I guess I must have drank last night." So I wonder I wonder how Betty's gonna view him when we get to that. Now it's just like, hey Dell, you got a buddy there. Here you go.
Perhaps.
Yeah. It's interesting, but yeah, okay.
Yeah, but Dell's just generally kind of squirrely and like, let's just not bother with this. Or feedback is like, it's like there's things that like you get from tone as a player that you may not that you don't have like any like, oh, they did this and so that's why. So as I'm saying these things, I'm like, man, Betty's being kind of a prejudiced dick, right? And it's like, no, that's the vibe.
Yeah, that's just the vibe. It was the vibe for a moment. Because the rest of the session, you all went to bat for Dell. I mean, you went there, you supported him and got votes for him. So
yeah, definitely.
You supporting your teammate while at the same time egging him on, because that's what good friends do.
Absolutely.
All right, so let's go to Levi now, a newcomer, not as tall as Betty, But
Not for lack of trying.
not for like, yeah. I mean, he kind of he has a very I don't want to say even though he's a barbarian, he kind of comes off. He kind of came off as like a goody goody two shoe paladin. Sorry, Ben, if you're listening to this. But
Yeah, he's definitely. Yeah, Betty's impression of him is definitely pretty brash. Brash, like not exactly talking shit, but not backing down from his ground when arguing moral issues with creatures that are much larger and have different reckonings of morality.
right.
Um, which I think in the moment, Betty's vibe probably been like, "Motherfucker, what are you doing?" But afterwards, Betty's just like, I mean, kind of in like the Goliath tradition, just be like, "Oh, what a badass!" You know,
Yeah,
like
right. Like
the bravery not to step down in the face of these. You know,
mm-hmm.
that's hardcore. Like Betty will absolutely tell that story to his siblings when he gets back home. And like that's super cool a little bit. So his mind is probably like, oh yeah, he won't live long, but that's still cool. It's fine not to live long if you're gonna do it being badass.
yeah, yeah, right. You
Yeah.
know, he's gonna challenge life every day, and life will challenge him back.
Hmm. He's also probably impressed by Levi's shirtlessness because like because Betty has biological reasons not to be as bothered with cold, and still as good measure he wears
Right.
thick furs. And this guy's just like my masculinity will keep me warm.
He's like it's actually really ironic. So he's like a Canadian coming down to Texas in our winter, whereas all of our Texans are like, oh shit, it's 70 degrees, better bundle up. And he's just out there in shorts and a t-shirt like, it's no problem, 9 degrees weather in the winter storm, no problem. And the coincidence is that Ben is actually a Canadian who did come down to Texas, and so I really feel like he's just like,
Coming together.
yeah, right there, you know, real life and D&D life meshing.
Worlds collide. Worlds collide.
All right, so we have
That's great.
last character, Rosemary. So this is the one. She's the one character you have backstory relations with. You know, I believe Betty went not relations. That's wrong. Especially given your age at the time that you met.
Yes.
Yeah, with Rosemary being a small child and I think you were like 13, 14?
I think he was like
Maybe
18 or 21.
18, 20?
He was.
You were already adventuring, right?
He had like. Yeah, he was adventuring. He was just working caravan stuff, and also just going off and being kind of a backwoods survivalist hermit
Mm-hmm.
up in the high mountains, and in the process of that ran into some trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Found himself under dire threat and nearly died, only to wake up in the very warm and cozy home of a druid woman and her orc husband. Or I think it might be the other way around, but I think it's
the. Ooh, I should know this.
Yeah, DM, you should know this.
I'm fairly sure it's an orc dad and human mother, but now I have to check. Oh, now I gotta go check. Oh, here we go. Everybody's a mimic. But yeah, no, Kuldahar,
Yeah,
which
so-
as part of our canon is naturally warm. The power of Sylvanas, the Oak Father, and Kuldahar is a slightly canon town. It's from the Icewind Dale video games, but it doesn't pop up on the map in the book. And you know, we kind of flavored it as because this is the Oak Father who is already a step above, some consider Oral, the lady who's doing the, crazy winter. Somebody considers the Oak Father to be his, her father. And so, of course, he's going to have more power to resist this everlasting winter. And so Goldahar is kind of like a sauna town, essentially. It's not it's not warm because there's still some effect of it, but it's like where everyone else is like maybe near freezing degree weather, Goldahar is in like a chilly 70 degrees, like the Bay Area, year round. So, and I do see here the son of the Orc Drive, Orc son, or Orc father, human mother. So I don't know what I had just said, but that is what it is.
Okay.
Yeah. Getting back to...
So Betty wakes up being poked by a small child, and looks over and sees a very young, like 7-8-year-old, if I'm not mistaken, Rosemary, poking at his wounds, and bandages. I think I made a specific inventory. He's a couple. I think he lost like 2 toes and a finger or something like that. So he's not all there, but yeah, she wakes him up for the first time, and her family kind of nurses him back to health, and when time comes for him to move on, her father gives him his cloak, and I've just decided Betty still wears that cloak.
Yeah,
it's his like base layer, and he's just got other furs over top of it.
Right.
But over the years, he feels kind of a little bit of a life debt to them, but also as he was recovering, which took a while, he was very badly hurt.
Yeah.
He spends his time while he's recovering mostly telling these Goliath stories of adventurers that pass through Wormdoom Crag to a impetuous young Rosemary, and they become fast friends, and he maybe fosters a certain degree of curiosity and adventure into her at a formative age,
right,
which may contribute to her venturing beyond the commune. And
definitely not a cult.
Definitely not a cult. Definitely not a community of crunchy earth worshipping people who share a religious focus.
Exactly.
And over the years after he does leave, he drops by and checks in on them and hangs out and catches back up with them over the years, and so he feels not exactly when they're out adventuring, he probably feels a small degree of responsibility over her, just because they know each other so well. That's kind of the background of their relationship.
Yeah. How does what is Betty's reactions to all of these animals just popping out of her hat? I mean, Rosemary does not. She gets the most out of the minor magical items that I gave you all.
Yeah, that's a good question. I do need to start mentioning his more. But he
Yeah. What
age did she get that?
Her hat?
Yeah.
Ooh, I don't know. It was something.
That's a good question.
That's a good question. Where I will have to. She's coming up on the block for the one-on-one. I'll have to ask her that question of when did you get this hat, and was it there whenever you were nursing back Betty, and does that mean that you kind of just released rats to chew at his wounds? I mean,
terrible.
If she's poking your wounds, I feel like she'd be like, "Here you go, rat. Have some fun. Have some lunch. We got to use all the parts of the body."
Jesus, I feel like I feel like at some point someone like that's an actual character conversation that would have been had, and Rosemary would be like, "What? No, I would never do that. That's terrible." But like deep down, she'd be like, "I did that once, and I feel guilty about it still."
Yeah. Yeah. What is so we're talking about it. What was your magical item that you got?
So Betty took for his minor magical item. Thought I had to burp.
Okay. I thought you were thinking about it. I was like, Betty took
No, he took false tracks.
That's
And
right.
I felt like this would be something that would really make sense for a tracker, because I've thought about this before, for the idea of, yeah, why wouldn't you, if you were spending a lot of time tracking, doing stuff like that, want your tracks to be, you know, a different size and shape? So I think they're required to be. I think there is a requirement where it has to be a humanoid, which may or may not keep to.
Yeah.
But
I mean, like, say, I'm guessing if we're following your whole vibe that they are boots of false Yeti tracks.
yeah. So,
But maybe they're just like.
So at some points they would be. At some points they would be, for the most part, mechanically he uses them as like his snowshoes.
Mm-hmm.
He programs a track that's has a bigger surface area, and it helps him get through.
Right.
But if he's intent on kind of being harder to find, he might set them to like a fawn or something, which is maybe not technically a humanoid, but
right.
But
when I think humanoid, I just think something that's bipedal, that's not gigantic. Like.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'll set it to something like that. So it's like, oh, this is just a little deer trail. There's just a deer walking through here.
Right. You're a bipedal deer, so you have to like two, and then just like you're forming the 4 tracks as you're going along to add to more of like your. So it's like you're not just like walking like a regular human. You're just like, I'm a fawn. Okay, so now I got to replicate these deer tracks, and then I mean, really, truly, that is like you put the effort into it to really not be captured.
Yeah, which I mean makes sense because doing stuff like that, you'll do a dummy trail, and if you're gonna do a dummy trail, you want to like walk back over your same footprints, which I've tried to do once. It's really hard. Yeah. I think there's also maybe an overemphasis on footprints in tracking in real life, so who knows?
Right.
But
yeah, I mean, when you think about it, like you're right. In D&D, it's always like, do I find any tracks? Like I'm searching for tracks, I'm finding tracks, and people just assume that means there's just there's like a line of footprints going off this way, when really it's like, do I find any tracks? Yeah, you can tell that these branches were broken. That this like this place with like the dust was scuffed up here. This area, this pathway looks like it's been touched more recently than something else has, and that's truly what it should be. But whenever I feel like someone is asking, like I want to investigate for traps or tracks, I'm saying like, oh yeah, like there's a path going this way. In my mind, I'm just like, yeah, footprints over there. Oh shit, he stepped in a puddle and walked this way. Like.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, it does that. That's always just seemed so fun to me. The idea of being able to change what footprints you leave.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I went with that.
Well, I really don't have anything else, and we are right there at the hour mark. So,
all right.
Yeah, we're gonna.
Let me look back at the list of questions you sent me just to see if you fucked up and missed anything.
I don't think I did. No,
you did really good. I didn't give my intentional spoiler.
Yes, you. Let's go with it. Let's finish it off there. Describe your secret in 1 sentence without spoiling it.
Betty the Yeti slinging darts and breaking hearts.
That's good. That's good. I'll take it. So let me do a sign off real quick. Thank you all for watching, whoever was out there, and anybody who's watching this on YouTube after the fact. We are Everybody's a Mimic. I am Corey, your dungeon master. This is Carson, who this is Carson, who plays Betty the Yeti. We also, this is a one-on-one session, so we are not joined by Rachel, who plays Rosemary, Blake, who plays Del Nadre, or Ben, who plays Levi. But we're about a month off from our third session, and in that month off, we're gonna be doing these one-on-one sessions. So next week, we'll do our best to put up on the website, which is Everybody's a Mimic at wordpress.com, or rather, everybody'samimic.wordpress.com. You can find us on YouTube by just searching Everybody's a Mimic. You can also find us on twitch.tv/Everybody's a Mimic. We do not have a Facebook account. We do not have Twitter. We do not have Instagram. Until next time, we'll see you guys around. So thanks for joining us, and bye-bye.